Hi, I was really pleased to be asked by Khan to contribute to the drawing club, and I hope you enjoy this small video. This past year has really made me recognise what's important to me, and two things that are drawing and reading, particularly poetry, because I enjoy them, but also because for my work they offer me the complexity and the ambiguity I need to help me bind or attach emotions and feelings to the images when I paint. Drawing for me is about discovery. I will often start with something tangible and move it and exhaust it until it becomes, or it's distilled, or it becomes something else entirely. So it's the sort of transformative nature of exploring through drawing. I'm going to just share a drawing study process. It's really simple, but it just reminds me of how important and how a reminder really about how vivid and complex very carefully drawn and observed small moments can be, and they can be just as rich as complicated dramatic themes or events. The study is inspired by my admiration for Nobel Prize winning author called Yasunari Kawabata, Japanese. He's famous for books like Snow Country and 1,000 Cranes, but it's his palm of the hand stories, and that's what I've called this study, this drawing study, that really interests me. They are very short, very concise, poetic explorations. He wrote them between the 1920s and the 70s, so they're very short stories, but they're very poetic in their nature. They operate with unclear meanings, no explicit solutions, no clear understanding, and they concentrate more on perception and feeling. They feature themes such as loneliness, time passing, transient, love, and they concentrate on, he concentrates on the drama of every day in very small, minute moments, personal, private moments, which he sort of imbues with a sort of a supernatural or magical kind of reality in some cases. I am really interested in Japanese ways of seeing, the multiple horizon lines they employ, the different viewpoint perspectives, the fact that not everything is fully articulated or half seen. And this particular study, which is really just concentrating on the palm of your hand, I like the connotations of shorthand and the links it obviously has with drawing and the page, but also the journeying across lifelines, and how we can translate that into onto paper to sort of suggest a much larger geographical area. Anyway, so we'll get started. Materials wise, I'm going to use it like a black gouache today with a range of brush sizes and wash. Drawing ink is really good to use as well, or watered down acrylic, watercolour. Really, it's about drawing and painting at the same time, and these mediums allow you to sort of really investigate the nuance and the characteristics of the lines as you're making them. Start by looking carefully at the palm of your hand, opening it up and examining all the different lines and arrangements and constellations of cross lines on your hand. Pay attention perhaps to the spaces in between the lines, as well as the lines, how the lines cross, and maybe even sort of some of the star shapes that happen and creasing on the palm and maybe on the fingers and around the base of the fingers. When I'm drawing, I try and remember something that John Berger wrote about the act of drawing, and he said that as you draw, basically you're like a pilot moving through air, and you can go in 360s. It's space that you're exploring. You're not driving a train, you're not a driver of a car going in one direction. And I think that's a really interesting way to navigate and explore the surface space of the paper, and the active space in between every line that you make and its relation to the one that you have just made. Start thinking about, does a line feel the same if it's drawn from the top of the page to the bottom or in the opposite direction? How does the line differ? How does it feel? And then obviously, you've got all the sensitivity of rolling your paintbrush in your hand as you're drawing, or the different pressures that you apply, or the different amount of ink or gouache that you've got on your brush, and the density of that material. So there's a lot that you can explore. Okay, so start by drawing the lines, selecting the lines you're going to draw from your hand onto the paper. You can think about drawing them at different speeds, because working faster will transform the drawing and make for accidental marks. Think about different line thicknesses and separating the lines out so they become separate motifs on the paper. You can also consider drawing things back from memory, so closing your eyes and drawing the lines back from memory. Look carefully about ask yourself questions like, what happens when one line crosses another? What happens to the lines when you start and finish them, where the medium starts to pull, where the edges fray or splay, where one line is absorbed into another line and leaves a shadow or is absorbed. Also think about your drawings being perhaps sculptural, with the reaching past the format of the paper into space, like a movement. And this kind of cropping technique or zooming in technique can be something that you can practice by using the edges of your paper as your starting point. And also maybe working across one or two pieces of paper or 3 or 4 pieces of paper, and drawing across them all, so that you can then reshuffle these papers so that you can start playing with composition and changing it. So it's less prescriptive, and you can explore emptying out the picture plane, maybe distilling the lines to something simpler. Adding colour can start opening the drawing to have other possibilities. You can start adding the colour into the negative space, or you can start using colour on the lines and see how that transforms the drawing. You can use, here I've used the palm lines, but to link up found marks, wet on wet technique marks on previous drawings, and then using negative space. A lot of your drawings might start to suggest to you kind of quiet moments in nature, and start to have qualities that suggest maybe landscapes or interiors or interior outside spaces. You can try simple printing techniques like monoprinting as well, in order to extend the process. Okay, so there's quite a lot of ways that you can extend this. So you can draw on different surfaces, so keepsakes and letters, or on other drawings. You can add the lines onto other drawings and layer them. You can use them to, I sometimes put them in books on the other side of the cover, or you can use empty envelopes on the inside or cover the envelopes with them. So experiment with different papers. You can scale it up. So using large brushes and using your whole body to recreate the marks gives you a whole different experience. And also you can use other people's and intertwine them into one drawing, or layer them so that you make quite complex layered drawings. I think the other thing that's quite interesting is, hopefully through this process you'll make a lot of drawings, a bundle, and it's quite interesting then to put them up, I don't know, it doesn't matter whether it's on a washing line or on a board or on the floor, and start to see connections between them, whether they sort of get into families, or whether you can start thinking of them as structural and sculptural, so that you can almost take out new compositions of lines from a collection of drawings. So sort of think beyond one drawing in a way. Anyway, I hope that gives you something to work with, and yeah, bye bye.